We are getting into the details of this cockpit project. This is the really fun part where I get to customize the boat. Think of all the little details that I want to do. I'm getting a lot of great ideas from friends and from viewers, and we came up with a really great solution to a problem that you guys have been badgering me about for a while. So it's been a fun week of putting this thing together. My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home. I'm going to be making a lot of hinges on the boat for things that are opening. A few months ago, I was working on hinges for the cabinet doors that are on the lockers in the bathroom and on the workbench. But now I have these benches that are in the cockpit with the bigger lids that are opening. And so they required bigger hinges, and I was talking to a friend in town, Brandon, and he does a lot of boat building, CNC work and everything, and he had already made hinge molds, and he CNC cut these hinge molds, so they're much more accurate than mine would ever be. They're also much stiffer and more reusable, and so he let me borrow them. So we're going to try out making a carbon fiber hinge. So I've got this stuff wet out, and in my other hinges I was using a brass tube because that's what I could find for that size. I'm using a plastic tube now that'll be laminated inside the hinge. Now this is all waxed up. I've put a couple coats of wax on so that this part won't stick to it. I'm also not using any peel ply. I'm just going to sand it after it's done. So that's it. I'm just gonna let this cure overnight, probably put a heater on it, and take it off in the morning. See how it looks. Very nice.
So I'm cutting the slots in my hinges.
Ready?
Ready. Should we test it out?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It works great.
We're so weird.
Awesome.
How's it feel? Let me try opening it. So smooth. So nice.
Very nice. One thing I wanted to explain, there was a few comments about the gutters and water, how water will escape. The first time we talked about this a while back. And so the bench is sloped aft, and so any water that's caught between the lid and the seat back in this corner will just go aft. All these hinges are going to get faired in. And so it'll just be a straight run for water to go out, as well as the gutter is also sloped aft. So any water that falls into the gutter system will either come out here if it falls in the side ones, or it will fall out the back there. So should be a pretty dry bench. So I made a template that will be the size of the cubbies for the seat backs, and I used it to draw out the cubbies on the seat back, and I did use my jigsaw just to rough cut them out, and now I'm going to use the jig to make the cutouts perfect. Really like how the cubbies turned out. You know, this is for storage for stuff like winch handles and gloves and, you know, safety stuff, anything that can fit in there. There's tons of space underneath the combing. There's also tons of space underneath these benches. So obviously there's tons left to do on this. The seat back isn't even glued or fiberglassed to the bench yet. There's a whole bunch of raw foam edges that have to be finished. The little panel for the autopilot. This summer, I would really like to get all this stuff into primer. And so I'm really excited to see how it looks when everything is changed color to be the same color, and it's gonna look awesome.
You're having way too much fun putting your line into your fake line locker.
Huh. So this is how a lot of people have been asking, and it's a really good question. It's something I hadn't put a lot of thought into, but line organization in the cockpit. And at the clutches there will be 3 lines on each side, but only one really long one, and that's the halyard, the main halyard. And there will be like 150, 160 feet of big line in the cockpit when the halyard or when the mainsail is up, and so it's like keeping that in the cockpit, there's not a great place for it. So Al was here a few days ago, and he was like, and I was talking to him about this, and he was like, oh, you should make a line locker. So the main halyard will be on the starboard side, clutch will be here, and then what we'll do is we'll cut a hole like this in the combing right there. We'll install a pipe, which is like kind of like a hawse pipe, and it'll go through the deck and down into a locker that's inside the boat. I went ahead and made a mold for what I'm calling a hawse hole. It's the hole that the main halyard is going to get thrown into, down into its rope locker. It's just a real rough mold because I just took they're 3.5-inch tubes and taped them together so it makes this oblong shape, and I'm just gonna wrap it in fiberglass. It doesn't need to look great because you're only gonna see the top and bottom, and so yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it in fiberglass, cut it off, and then glue it into the boat. So I hammered this thing off of the mold, and it turned out pretty good. So the next step is to clean this thing up, and then I'll take it up to the boat and we can cut the hole out that this will fit in.
So now I gotta cut this under, I gotta cut the deck through. I've got some trimming to do, but it'll fit, it'll work.
Okay, so we've cut another hole in the boat, and like I said, this hole is to help with line organization. This was Al's idea. The problem is that when the main sail is hoisted, there will be as much as 200 feet of line from that halyard in the cockpit, and I didn't have a plan for where to put it. And so Al suggested basically it's like an anchor chain locker, but it's just a rope locker. First, this bulkhead extends all the way down through the hull, and it is watertight. Forward of it is the quarter berth, aft of it will be all the system space. So if you cut a suction, if you cut the boat right here, look at it through in a section, this would be the hull, and then the deck comes up like this. This is the doghouse right here. And then on top of that deck is the combing. And this, like the seat back will be like this. This is the bench. And so then the systems area is like this. So here's this is the cockpit wall right here. And so we're cutting it, we put the tube in through there. And I'm going to make a kind of a sharp-ended box underneath that will be sealed. And so the rope can just fall in through here and just bundle up in there like that. It'll be easy to drop in, easy to pull out. And then there will be a little drain that goes out to the hole. The water line will be like right here. It'll be just above the water line, maybe like 6 or 8 inches above the water line. It will self-drain. This is a perfect spot for it because it's underneath the doghouse already, and so it's not like a lot of rainwater or salt water is going to get in there. But if we're ever rinsing or anything, it'll still self-drain. I think it's a really great idea, and we can even put multiple lines in here if we want to. So like, for instance, there will be, when we reef, especially 2 reefs, there will be a whole bunch of line and we can stuff all of them in there. And the hole's big enough that we can kind of pull them all out together. So I think this is an excellent solution. I'm really excited to have this here. I haven't decided if I'm going to do one on the other side yet because we don't have a halyard on the other side. It's reefing lines and tack lines, and so they're not going to be nearly as long as what we have here. Next week, we're going to get back to the chain plate project. Hopefully we can get it finished in a week, and lots left to do.
Really? I thought we were launching next week. We have lots left to do?
Yes. We're far behind all these other guys that are putting their boats in the water.
Oh, like Acorn to Arabella this week?
Yep.
Big congrats to them, by the way.
Yeah, that is such an unbelievable accomplishment, and we're very, very happy for them.
I think Tally-Ho's close to splashing, too.
Rumors. We have a couple more Patreons to thank this week. Again, if you want to join our Patreon community, you can find us at the Duracell Project on patreon.com. First, thank you to Philippe. Philippe is French. He's retired and spends as much time in the water as he can. He has owned a few sailboats. He said recently he got to do a delivery on a yacht from the Caribbean to Gibraltar on a 43-meter yacht, which is, it's like 130 feet. Huge boat. So sounds like a lot of fun. So thank you very much to Philippe. Also, thank you to Stephen. Stephen is a retired naval architect. He worked for Oyster and Hinckley and Morris Yachts, really high-end boats, and when he retired he was the chief engineer. He's also done tons of sailing, owning a couple of his own boats, including an Aphrodite 101. Those are really cool, unique boats. So thank you very much to Stephen. You can check out his Facebook page, which includes a lot of his own design work. I'll put the link in the description below. So thank you again so much to everyone, old and new Patreons. Yanni and I could not do this project without you, so we really appreciate it. See you next week.